Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanine. So we're going to begin here with an article on U.Today, and it goes as such. Obviously, both the rise in XRP price and trading volume were the result of increased interest from Korean investors. However, the exact same reasons for this behavior can only be guessed. According to the popular belief, Koreans saw an opportunity to profit on XRP after the price corrected from Tuesday's 26% rise. The enthusiasm of Korean retail investors, which became apparent after the Aptos story, was enough for XRP to outperform the rest of the crypto markets. And I'm very happy that we're seeing signs of XRP taking off in certain places. We know that Korea recently said that they were waiting on a positive outcome for the Ripple versus SEC case, and I think they're going to go all in. They specifically said that they were watching that case. That's very interesting in my humble opinion. I think a lot of places around the world will be doing the same coming up in the next year or two. They're going to be capitalizing off of this, knowing that there's so many people ready to jump in at any moment, to get some XRP or try to scrape some kind of profits off. And that's going to make the waters very dangerous. Now, this particular happening here, it's like they all moved all at one time, at least if I'm reading this correctly, which is why that price went up a little bit. It wasn't just like one or two people getting in at different times. No, they all got in at the same time, right? This was a concerted effort, which can be done if you have like these groups on forums or on apps and the people actually are going to cooperate with each other. Then you can have that type of occurrence, and it can move that price just enough to make people jump in. And when those people jump in, because there's no catalyst at all, you're just boosting that price up just by putting money in. When other people jump in, that's when they're going to scrape profits off. This happens all the time, right? It's a typical technique. Certain people or entities come together, put money into a protocol, the price goes up, everybody else gets excited. Oh, it's going up. There's a bull run. They put their money in only to get their money taken later on, unfortunately. But that's the way it typically happens. So even at the end of this article, you see how they're saying here, they don't think it's going to last, right? And we'll see if it does or not. Let's move on to another article here. So then we have another article. This one is from coinedition.com. It says, John Deaton asks Ripple to help MoneyGram and Western Union cut fees. We'll see. You're still battling. Ripple is still battling the SEC. The SEC has put a fear into a lot of different organizations. They're not touching anything that's not completely decentralized until that case is over. Simple as that. That's just how it is. It says early today, famous pro XRP lawyer John Deaton proposed that Ripple blockchain approaches banks or money transmitters with an offer to significantly reduce the fees they charge for international money transfers using blockchain technology. Deaton made his proposition in reply to a report that Ripple Network processed $1 billion in 4 seconds with a processing fee of only 1 cent. Crypto lawyer asked Ripple to approach money transmitters like MoneyGram and Western Union using these words. Quote, I know you charge 9 to 15% for people to send money internationally. We can do it for less than a penny. Use our tech and miss out on those high friction fees you are used to. Deaton noted that while Ripple has been working to revolutionize the legacy payment system by making it more frictionless, the XRP ecosystem, comprised of users, investors, developers, and small businesses, has been instrumental in its success. And that's something I've been iterating for quite some time. Now, once again, this is from Coin Edition. It was on their front page. All right. It's easy to find. It was released today. It says March 26, 2023. All right. So there you have it. Let's move on to another article here. So before we get to the next chapter, the next crypto chapter, which I believe it's about USDC. I want to read this little tidbit here about Alexander the Great because I think it contains some good lessons to learn. It's something I think about quite often. So I'm going to share it here. You can skip this chapter. So it goes as such. After conquering hundreds of kingdoms, Alexander was heading back home. On his way back, he fell seriously ill. While lying on his deathbed, he realized that nothing was worth it, even after living a successful life conquering most of the known world. The final days of Alexander on his deathbed offer a moral lesson for all of us. He wanted to go home and meet his mother. So at the end, all of that conquering didn't matter. All that fighting, it didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. What mattered in the end was love. That's what was valuable to him in the end. Let's continue on here. As it says, the final days of Alexander on his deathbed. Okay. He wanted to go home and meet his mother before his soul departed from this world, but he knew he would not last long. Therefore, he called upon his loyal generals and told, quote, I will depart from this world soon. I have 3 wishes. Please carry them out without fail, unquote. The king asked his generals to fulfill his following 3 wishes. 1, my physicians must carry my body alone. 2, I want the path leading to my grave to be strewn with gold, silver, and precious stones that are in my treasury while my body is being carried to be buried. Number 3, my third and last wish is that both my hands be kept dangling out of my coffin. The generals who gathered there wondered at the king's wishes, but no one dared to question him. But one of his favorite generals kissed on his hand and said, quote, My Majesty, we promise you that all of your wishes will be fulfilled. But will you tell us why do you have such strange wishes? Quote, I want everybody to learn the 3 lessons that I have learned in life, unquote. Alexander replied after taking a deep breath. Alexander explained why he had 3 strange wishes in the following way. Number 1, I want my physicians to carry my body alone because I want people to know that no doctor can cure people's illnesses, especially when they face death. No physician or doctor is as powerful to save people from the clutch of death. So don't let people take life for granted, which means stop wasting time. All this arguing, all this fighting, you do what you want. But Alexander the Great, who has done more than most people will ever do, seen more, had more riches, so that all the superficiality and nonsense didn't mean anything. And all he wanted was to go home and see his mother. Right? It says, so don't let people take life for granted. That's his warning. Number 2, I want the path leading to my grave to be strewn with gold, silver, and precious stones while my body is being carried to be buried, because I want people to know that not even a fraction of gold will come with me. Glory is the same. Glory, none of this stuff we can take with us, right? Not even a fraction of gold will come with me. I spent my whole life chasing power and wealth. Whatever earned in the earth remains here. I want people to realize that it is a complete waste of your life and time to run after wealth and power. Number 3, I want both my hands to be kept dangling out of my coffin because I want people to know that we came empty-handed in this world and we will go empty-handed, which has great implications about the focus and substance of life. What is the substance of life? Peace? Is it peace for you? We're all different. You have to define that for yourself. But there are those things that are important and elevate you, move you forward, bring you contentment, especially as you move towards those last hours. But we build up towards that by being content and finding those things and dedicating ourselves and our time to things that have substance. And ridding ourselves of things that do not have substance. That is important. It says here, the king's last words were, quote, when you bury my body, don't build any monument and keep my hands outside so that the world knows that the person who won the whole world had nothing in his hand while dying. With these powerful words, the king closed his eyes and he let death conquer him. Now let's move on to the next chapter here. And it's a chapter, it was about USDC. It is about USDC. And it's titled, Crypto Biz, MasterCard opens network to USDC. Obviously, the more USDC is used around the world, the more it can flow into the Stellar network, which is being used by MoneyGram, the more it's going to be mass adopted. And obviously anything that is increasing in flow across Stellar could affect the price of XLM, which is, the price goes up when there's congestion on the chain, surge pricing, the regular stuff I usually say. It says, take, for example, the recent issues that Circle issued USDC faced when it depegged from the US dollar following Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. 2 weeks later, MasterCard boldly integrated the stablecoin into its infrastructure in the Asia Pacific region, allowing users to spend USDC through its network. It's happening, folks. Now, that doesn't surprise me. Circle has a relationship with Coinbase. Coinbase has a relationship with BlackRock, and BlackRock is going to ensure that whatever it's involved in, it doesn't lose. Even when everyone else thinks it's losing, BlackRock can flex its muscle and make it win. They can force it to win. It's not going to lose. And that's a big difference between USDC, Circle, USDC, Coinbase, BlackRock, and everything else. They may be well positioned, but they don't have that kind of backing and vicariously, right? Vicariously, Stellar benefits from that relationship with BlackRock, right? So let's move on to another article here. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see how things go. We adjust accordingly. There's no guarantees in anything. We're not here for a guarantee. And I am but a humble researcher. I go on these websites, whether it's BIS.org, IMF, Be in Crypto, and I find articles. Most of them are on the front page, and I bring them to you, and you make the decisions on your own. You make up your own minds, right? I always tell people, I don't expect you to feel how I do. A lot of people don't seem to grasp that though, but that's okay. So now, here's a tweet from Velo, okay? It says, at crypto.com, I'm going to assume that's at crypto.com, right? Yep, crypto.com enables TPO and Stellar-based Velo deposits. This is very, very good. We're excited to announce expanded services for non-US users on their platform. Besides enabling limit order for trading, they have their own protocol as well. I'm going to skip that. It says they now also support Stellar-based token. That's a good thing in my opinion. So now let's move on to another article here. So Ultra Stellar is getting active once again. I'm very happy to see that. I want all the businesses on Stellar to get active. It says here, we're back from an incredible time at hashtag PBW 2023. Thank you to the awesome attendees who visit our booth to discover more about Ultra Stellar's innovative services on the @Stellar.org blockchain. Scroll down here, they have a little bit more. It says, we had a blast networking with many new friends and potential partners. There's no friends, there's only partners. New friends and potential partners. Just say partners. That's what they are. Can't wait to see where these new connections take us. I can't wait to see where the new connections take you. So those are new deals on the table. New businesses that may be using Stellar via Ultra Stellar. I'm very excited about this. There were a lot of powerful organizations at this particular panel, or however you want to. It's like Davos. That's what this is. Like a bunch of mini Davos going on right now. So this is great activity on Stellar. So Ultra Stellar is letting people know, hey, we have some new partners, right? Or we may be making some new partners. However you want to interpret it, okay? But it's looking good in my humble opinion. Let's move on here. Hope everybody out there is doing well. I send my love out to you, and I hope your families are doing well. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. And if times are dark, may the light shine upon you. May goodness find you wherever you are. May success find you wherever you are. All right. So we have this about Algorand. A little bit of Algorand news. This is from the Emerging Technologies Government of Telangana. It says, pleased to partner with Algorand to develop hashtag blockchain solutions that support sustainable production, product traceability, and transparency, and financing and development of carbon offsetting projects. A step towards promoting sustainability in the hashtag carbon market. So then on their Twitter, it actually says, Government of Telangana envisions to be a leader in emerging technologies. So if I'm reading all of this correctly, Algorand gets in deep with another government or governmental organization. That's good. That's huge. They're powerful. I hope Algorand continues to do a good job. They've been doing a great job so far, in my humble opinion. So I want to read this little tidbit here before we get on to the next crypto chapter. We have a few chapters left, right? You can skip this one. It's about degrees, right? It says, quote, love and hate are generally regarded as being things diametrically opposed to each other, entirely different, unreconcilable. But we apply the principle of polarity. We find that there is no such thing as absolute love or absolute hate as distinguished from each other. These two are merely terms applied to two poles of the same thing. This is why it's so easy for love to turn into hate and hate to turn into love. It's something hard to accept, but if you observe it closely enough, you can see that they're two poles, two opposite ends of the same thing. But let's continue on here. So let me let the wise explain it. It says, beginning at any point of the scale, we find more love or less hate as we ascend the scale, and, quote, more hate or less love as we descend. This being true no matter from what point, high or low, we may start. There are degrees of love and hate. We see this everywhere, don't we? Right? Some people used to love us, then they hate us, then they hate us, then they love us. Then in the middle, you have like and dislike, right? It says, and there was a middle point where, oh, here we go. And there was a middle point where, quote, like and dislike becomes so faint that it is difficult to distinguish between them. Courage and fear come under the same rule. The pairs of opposites exist everywhere. Where you find one thing, you find its opposite, the two poles. And it is in fact that enables us to transform one mental state into another along the lines of polarization. Things belonging to different classes cannot be transmuted into each other, but things of the same class can be changed. That is, may have their polarity change. Thus, love never becomes east or west or red or violet, but it may and often does turn into hate. And likewise, hate may be transformed into love by changing its polarity. The problem is many people are not in control of that change. It just goes back and forth. It's not random because there is cause and effect involved, but they're not in control of the cause and effect, right? Courage may be transformed into fear and the reverse. Hard things may be softened. Dull things become sharp. Hot things become cold, and so on. The transforming always being between things of the same kind of different degrees. Take the case of a fearful man. By raising his mental vibrations along the line of fear - courage, he can be filled with the highest degree of courage and fearlessness. So a lot of sometimes you can control these things with what you surround yourself with. So if you're in a state of anger, sometimes if you take a lot of good things of what you enjoy and put it around you, good music that makes you happy, movies, or I don't know what people read books. Like I read books. I don't watch a lot of visuals. I just don't enjoy that anymore at this point in life. I read a lot of books, but maybe reading a lot of good books, or maybe you watch a lot of good visuals, but you bring that goodness to yourself. You can change the polarity of your mind and take control of that and transform what used to be an energy that you had in your mind that was bad into now an energy that is good. I don't know if I'm saying that eloquently. It says, and likewise, the slothful man may change himself into an active, energetic individual simply by polarizing along the lines of the desired quality. The student who is familiar with the processes by which the various schools of mental science, etc., produce changes in the mental states of those following the teachings may not readily understand the principle underlying many of these changes. However, the principle of polarity is once grasped, and it is seen that mental changes are occasioned by a change of polarity, a sliding along the same scale. The change is not in the nature of a transmutation of one thing into another thing, entirely different, but it is merely a change of degree in the same things, a vastly important difference. For instance, borrowing an analogy from the physical plane, it is impossible to change heat into sharpness, loudness, highness, etc. But heat may be readily transmuted into cold simply by lowering the vibrations. In the same way, hate and love are mutually transmutable. So are fear and courage. But fear cannot be transformed into love, nor can courage be transmuted into hate. The mental states belong to innumerable classes, each class of which has its opposite poles, along which transformation is possible. So you can always find positivity within yourself if you but have the strength to bring your mind, pull your mind sometimes, battle with it, and bring it into a better state. The choice is yours, right? So now let's move on to another article here, another chapter here. So this tweet here is from Hedera, and it goes as such. Hashtag Hedera mainnet, 6 billion transactions, 17 days, 1 billion transactions. Hashgraph technology in our incredible, ever-growing community is showing hashtag Web3 the true potential of DLT, of a DLT driven by real-world applications and utility. The way they write this with hashtags sometimes throws me off greatly. It does. So Hedera is doing great things. They're showing people their power. Businesses are seeing their power. They're bringing in more businesses. A few videos back, we covered another bank that Hedera is working with. So they're doing a lot of big things, and I'm very happy about that. Let's continue on here. So then we have a little bit of LCX news. So they have a string of tweets. We'll begin at number 4, actually. It says, regulation can establish a level playing field for all market participants. Without clear guidelines and oversight, some players may gain an unfair advantage, potentially leading to market manipulation and other harmful practices. Number 5, regulations promote the adoption of cryptocurrencies and blockchain by establishing trust, transparency, safety, security, and confidence in the market for the industry's sustained growth and prosperity. And that's why in the next year and a half, I'm expecting a lot of big partnerships for LCX as being completely regulatory compliant, which means they're out ahead of everybody else. So there shouldn't be a lot standing in the way of them working with a lot of big institutions, but we'll see. We will see. Those big legacy system institutions, they move at their own pace. There's really no controlling them. And they flip-flop. They can say, hey, we're going to have mass adoption now. Hey, we're going to have regulations out now. And they can change their minds later. We've seen that a lot of times. Number 6, regulation can help deter the use of cryptocurrencies for illicit purposes, such as money laundering and redacted. Number 7, regulated crypto exchanges prioritize consumers and offer an enhanced protection to users. Liechtenstein, LCX, is widely acknowledged as having the most transparent legislative framework for digital assets and blockchain technologies. Number 8, LCX, a secure, regulated, and transparent cryptocurrency exchange, has secured nine registrations by the FMA following the Token and Trusted Technology Service Provider Act, TVTG. All right. So LCX is out front. They're regulatory compliant. And I think they're going to do very, very well. Let's move on here. So I was reading a bunch of documents and I saw this interesting document about XDC. I love when people talk about trillions, right? And they're reputable organizations. So first, let's define what the ITFA is. It says it's the International Trade and Forfeiting Association. ITFA is the World Trade Association for companies, financial institutions, and intermediaries engaged in global trade, forfeiting, supply chain and receivables financing. So this is a reputable organization. Let's see what they have to say. So on this article on itfa.org, it's titled Zenfin's XDC Network, the first blockchain company to join the global TFD initiative. It says here, in welcoming the XDC Network, Casterman, who is also the chair of the FinTech Committee at ITFA, said, quote, TFD initiative provides the most comprehensive set of trade distribution capabilities. We welcome Zenfin's XDC Network to TFD initiative, as this enables us to bridge the US $19 trillion trade finance asset class with any type of funder through tokenization and digital assets. They want to use XDC for this. Now, I don't know when this was put out. I don't know the date on this article. It doesn't even matter. But like I said, the fact that so many powerful organizations, reputable organizations, continue to say they want to use XDC, Zenfin, to move trillions of dollars, that's a great thing, in my humble opinion. That means that they're onto something big, and XDC has a bright future. So I always get excited when I read about things like that. So now let's close out here with a little bit of silver news. So this is from dailyforex.com, and it's titled "Silver Forecast Decides to Find Continues to Find Buyers, but also looks stretched." It says more likely than not, a pullback is on the horizon, perhaps down on the 50-day EMA if the US dollar starts to strengthen. Silver markets are traditionally very noisy, and the last couple of weeks have been no exception. The $23 level seems to be attracting a lot of attention as it had previously been supported. The silver market will continue to be sensitive to the US dollar, which has been on its back foot as of late, helping lift silver pricing. Like I said, I believe in the future, silver is going to take off. It's needed for not too many, but a great deal of technologies. And last I read, there was a shortage on silver to meet that demand in the future, which would mean that price will have to go up, right? So I'm always bullish on silver, and I'm always bullish on gold, It says, however, the market seems to be getting a little overextended in general. In the previous session's candlestick was a shooting star, suggesting that a pullback could be on the horizon. I agree with that. Yeah, sure. A lot of people are getting in because of what was going on with the banks. They got into gold and silver. I think they'll be pulling their money out of there, as they have been. You've seen a little bit of volatility since that time. And we've seen this before. There's nothing new under the sun here. So yeah, I think that it could be due for a little bit of a pullback, sure. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.